Think about the last time you felt perfectly safe. For Betsy Swain and Dylan Wilson, that moment was in a kitchen, laughing over a failed attempt at breakfast. It was supposed to be a normal morning. They were making bolognese, talking about the future, and promising each other that their relationship could handle anything, even a move to London. But in the world of Coronation Street, normal is usually just the quiet before a massive, life-shattering storm. And man, is this storm about to hit hard. Within minutes, that happy domestic scene turns into a literal nightmare when Ryan finds Betsy unconscious on the floor. But here's the real question that's going to keep us all up at night. Was this really just a tragic medical freak accident? Or is there something much darker going on behind the scenes? When we look at how this whole thing starts, the writers are really twisting the knife. They give us this sweet, bubbly moment between two teenagers who finally seem to be on the right track. Dylan is playing the hero in the kitchen, teaching Betsy how to cook because her own breakfast attempt was a disaster. It feels like a rom-com, right? But the thing is, in Weatherfield, whenever a couple says they can survive anything, the universe usually takes that as a challenge. The shift from let's make pasta to call an ambulance is so fast it'll give you whiplash. One minute they're planning a life together, and the next, Betsy is being rushed to the hospital for an MRI. Now, think about what this does to a person's head. Dylan stays by her side. He's the supportive boyfriend, buying her gifts, trying to make her comfortable. He even shows off these presents to Lauren and Brody. But you can feel the tension in the air. Can't you? It's that feeling that the ground is about to fall out from under him. And it does, in the most brutal way possible. Lisa Swain, Betsy's mom, doesn't just show up as a worried parent. She shows up as a detective. And that is where things get truly messy. I don't know about you, but seeing a mother immediately turn into a police officer while her daughter is fighting for her life is chilling. Lisa is sitting by that hospital bed, but she isn't just holding Betsy's hand. She's putting on her thinking cap. She's looking for a culprit. And who is the easiest target? The boyfriend with a history, Dylan Wilson. Even though Betsy literally begs her mom not to blame Dylan, Lisa just won't listen. It makes you wonder, is Lisa actually looking for justice, or is she just so terrified of losing her daughter that she needs someone to punish? It's like she can't handle the idea that a healthy teenager can just collapse, so she has to invent a villain to make sense of the chaos. The medical side of this is actually terrifying. We're hearing that Betsy has suffered a teenage stroke. Just let that sink in for a second. A stroke at that age is life-changing. When she wakes up, she can't even speak properly. Can you imagine the frustration? You're lying there, trapped in your own body, and you're watching your mom accuse the person you love of hurting you, and you can't even find the words to stop her. It's a total loss of agency. Betsy is voiceless in her own tragedy, while the adults around her start a literal witch hunt. And then we have the fit, or the seizure. Dylan is the one who has to run out and tell Lisa and Carla that something is wrong. In his head, he's helping. He's saving her. But in Lisa's head, every time Dylan is near a crisis, he becomes more guilty. It's this psychological trap. The more he tries to help, the more he looks like he's covering something up. Why did he refuse to visit her with his dad, Sean? That's the part that really stings. Even Sean Tully is starting to look at his own son with suspicion. When your own father starts wondering what you're hiding, you know you're in deep trouble. But wait, it gets even more complicated because of Lauren Bolton. Lauren tells Dylan that Betsy doesn't want to see him. Now, is that the truth? Or is Lauren just stirring the pot? We know Lauren has her own baggage, and she might think she's protecting Betsy, but by cutting Dylan off, she's basically handing him over to the police on a silver platter. She's isolating him. And Dylan, who is already devastated, just snaps. This is where that utterly shocking allegation comes in. Dylan doesn't just sit back and take the blame. He points the finger at Brody Michaelis. Now, where did that come from? Is Dylan just desperate? Is he just throwing out a name to get the heat off himself? Or does he actually know something about Brody that we don't? Think about it. If Dylan is lying just to save his own skin, he's becoming exactly the person Lisa thinks he is. But if he's right, then there's a much bigger threat lurking on the cobbles. The way Dylan lashes out in an enraged state tells you everything you need to know about his mental health right now. He's a cornered animal, and cornered animals bite. The drama doesn't stay in the hospital, either. It spills out into the street, into the cafe, and right into the precinct. Seeing Dylan get arrested while Jenny watches in total disbelief is such a powerful image. It's a public shaming. Even if the police eventually realize he did nothing wrong, how do you come back from that? How do you walk down the street when everyone saw you in handcuffs? Lisa is basically destroying this boy's life based on a hunch. It's an incredible abuse of power, isn't it? She goes straight to her desk sergeant and reports a crime without a single shred of physical evidence. That's not a cop doing her job. That's a mother on a rampage. While all this is going on, we have this massive parallel story with Sarah Platt and Kit Green. It's like Weatherfield is just drowning in secrets right now. We finally saw the flashback. Sarah is the one who killed Theo Silverton. She hit him with a pole. He fell off the scaffolding, and Gary helped her hide the body. It's the classic Platt mess. But the timing of her confession is what's really wild. Kit Green, the cop who has been obsessed with pinning the murder on Gary, finally proposes to Sarah. He's dreaming of this perfect future, and Sarah just can't take it anymore. She realizes she can't marry a man whose job is to catch people like her. Think about the position Sarah is putting Kit in. If he loves her, he has to cover up a murder. If he's a good cop, he has to arrest his own fiancée. It's the exact same dilemma Lisa Swain is facing, just from a different angle. Lisa is using her badge to attack someone she hates. Kit might have to use his badge to protect someone he loves. It's a complete breakdown of a justice system in this town. And the funniest, or maybe the saddest, thing is that Kit still thinks Maria and Gary are the ones hiding something. He's so close to the truth, yet he's completely blinded by his feelings for Sarah. The psychological toll on Sarah is huge. Tina O'Brien has talked about how Sarah is at the end of her tether. She's exhausted. She's eaten up by guilt. She even starts questioning why Gary didn't just tell her to hand herself in. That's a classic sign of someone who is about to break. She's not just confessing to be a good person. She's confessing because she wants the nightmare to stop. But by telling Kit, she's just starting a whole new nightmare for him. Does she really think they can have a happily ever after once he knows she's a killer? It feels so selfish, doesn't it? She's dumping her burden on him and making it his problem to solve. And we can't forget Christina Boyd. She's been cleared of the murder, but everyone knows she's still lying about that night. The petrol station excuse? Come on. Who stops for gas when they're rushing to save someone? There is definitely more to that story, and it feels like the show is just waiting for the right moment to drop another bombshell. It makes you realize that in this community, almost everyone is looking at each other through a lens of suspicion. Whether it's Lisa looking at Dylan or Kit looking at Gary or the fans looking at Christina, nobody is being 100% honest. So let's circle back to Betsy and that diagnosis. A teenage stroke is such a heavy, grounded storyline. It's going to change everything for her. She had these big dreams of going to fashion college, and now she's struggling just to talk. It's heartbreaking to think that while she's dealing with this massive health crisis, her family is being torn apart by these accusations. And if Dylan's claim about Brody turns out to be a lie, he's effectively lost his only support system. If Betsy finds out he tried to frame someone else just to get out of trouble, can she ever trust him again? This whole week on the cobbles is basically a masterclass in how grief and fear can turn people into monsters. Lisa Swain isn't a villain in the traditional sense, but her actions are definitely villainous. She's letting her trauma from losing her partner and almost losing her daughter cloud her judgment. And the consequences are going to be permanent. Even if Dylan is cleared, he's been branded. Even if Betsy recovers, her relationship with her mother is probably scarred forever because Lisa didn't listen to her when it mattered most. And what about Kit? If he decides to help Sarah cover up the Theo murder, he becomes a corrupt cop. He loses his integrity. The perfect future he imagined is already gone, whether he realizes it yet or not. The moment Sarah opened her mouth, that dream died. It's a dark, twisty road ahead for everyone involved. You have to wonder if anyone is going to come out of this with their conscience clean. Gary Wenas is already used to carrying these kinds of secrets, but for Sarah and Dylan, this is new territory. They're learning the hard way that one bad decision, or one tragic health event, can rewrite your entire life in an instant. It's also interesting to see the community's reaction. Jenny and the others watching the arrest. It shows how quickly the court of public opinion moves in a small town. People love a scandal until it lands on their doorstep. And for Sean Tully, this is a nightmare. He spent so long trying to keep Dylan on the straight and narrow, and now he's watching his son get hauled away. You can see the doubt in his eyes, and that might be the saddest part of the whole story. If your own dad doesn't 100% believe you're innocent, who will? So, where do we go from here? Does Dylan have any actual proof against Brody, or was that just a desperate move? And how will Brody react when he finds out he's being blamed for a stroke he had nothing to do with? This is going to create a huge rift among the younger characters. It's not just about the adults anymore. The teenagers are playing a very dangerous game of he said, she said, with life-altering stakes. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about Lisa's behavior. Do you think she's just a mama bear protecting her cub, or is she totally out of line using her police powers this way? I mean, shouldn't she have been taken off any investigation involving her own daughter? It feels like a massive conflict of interest. And what about Sarah? Do you think Kit will actually arrest her, or are we about to see a massive cover-up that keeps her out of prison but ruins Kit's career? The drama is just reaching a boiling point, and it feels like everything is about to explode. From the teenage stroke diagnosis to the utterly shocking allegations Dylan is throwing around, there isn't a single person on that street who is safe right now. It's emotional, it's messy, and it's exactly why we can't stop watching. Weatherfield might be a small place, but the secrets people are keeping are big enough to bury the whole town. Before we go, I want to hear your theories. Who do you think is really to blame for Betsy's condition, if anyone? Is it just a tragic medical event, or do you think Brody Michaelis actually has something to do with it like Dylan claims? And do you think Sarah and Kit have any chance of a future after that confession? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to see your wildest predictions. Also, if you're loving these deep dives into all the drama on the cobbles, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an update. We've got a lot more to unpack as this storyline unfolds, and you won't want to miss what happens when the truth finally comes out. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one to talk more about all the chaos in Weatherfield. Have you ever had one of those moments where everything feels perfect, and then in a split second, it all just falls apart? That is exactly what we are seeing with Dylan and Betsy right now. It is honestly gut-wrenching. Think about it. One minute they are in a kitchen laughing over a cooking lesson, and the next, there is an ambulance whisking a teenager away for an MRI. It makes you wonder, is a freak medical emergency ever just bad luck in a place like Weatherfield? Or is there always something darker lurking in the shadows? We aren't just looking at a medical drama here. This is a total psychological powder keg. You have grief, suspicion, and a mother's desperate need for control all about to explode at once. The way this whole tragedy starts feels almost too perfect. One minute, Dylan Wilson and Betsy Swain are having this domestic, light-hearted moment over a failed breakfast. Dylan is being the hero, teaching her how to cook bolognese. It feels like a rom-com, doesn't it? But you have to see what the writers are doing here. This wasn't just filler content. It was a very deliberate choice to show us the calm before the storm. They wanted us to see Dylan as the supportive, nurturing boyfriend. Why? Because it makes his fall from grace even more shocking later on. By showing them so happy and planning for a long-distance relationship when Betsy moves to London, the show is setting us up for a massive emotional gut punch. It forces us to ask, what could have possibly happened in those few moments after Dylan took charge of the kitchen? When Ryan finds Betsy unconscious on the kitchen floor, the mood shifts so fast it gives you whiplash. Now, think about why this is happening now from a story perspective. Betsy's stroke is a massive catalyst for everyone around her. But let's look at Lisa Swain. She isn't just reacting as a mother. She is reacting as a detective who is used to finding suspects. When the doctors mention a teenage stroke, it is such a random, scary diagnosis that Lisa's brain just cannot process it. In my opinion, Lisa is suffering from a massive case of trauma displacement. Remember, Betsy has already lost a boyfriend to a knife attack, and her family has been through the ringer. Lisa's decision to immediately point the finger at Dylan is an irrational, fear-based response. She needs someone to blame. If she can't blame a person, She has to accept that the world is just a cruel, unpredictable place where healthy kids can just collapse. Imagine being Dylan in this situation. You just had a romantic morning, and now you're in a hospital being treated like a criminal while your girlfriend fights for her life. Dylan is in total shock. He is staying by her side, buying her gifts, and trying to be the good guy. But it feels like he's trying to buy his way into a sense of safety that the authorities are stripping away. And let's be honest, the hospital ward quickly stops being a place of healing and starts being an interrogation room. This reframes the entire crisis. It is no longer just about whether Betsy will recover her speech. It is about who is going to survive the social fallout. I think the fact that Lisa uses her position as a detective sergeant to report a crime based on zero evidence is a massive abuse of power. It shows a woman who is completely unraveling. She is losing the boundary between her professional job and her maternal instincts. But then we get the moment that changes everything: Dylan's counter-allegation. When he realizes his nice guy act isn't saving him, his survival instincts kick in. He tells everyone that Brody Michaelis is the one responsible. Now, is Dylan being manipulative, or is he the only one seeing the truth? By shifting the blame to Brody, he is playing a very dangerous game. He feels like if he doesn't pin the guilt on someone else, he will be the one crushed by the system. And what about Lauren Bolton's role in this? She is acting as a total gatekeeper of grief. She lies to Dylan and tells him Betsy doesn't want to see him. That is such a toxic thing to do. She is using Betsy's condition to settle scores and control the social circle. It makes the storyline so much darker. It is not just about a medical emergency anymore. It is about how quickly a community can turn into a pack of wolves when someone is down. The stroke itself is also a huge symbol here. In a soap, a young person having a stroke is never just a medical fact. It is a symbol of a stolen future. Think about Betsy's dreams of fashion college. The show is highlighting how fragile teenage ambition can be. And Betsy's inability to speak after she wakes up is basically a metaphor for her lack of agency. She is literally voiceless, while her mother and her boyfriend fight over her life. It is heartbreaking. She is begging her mother not to blame Dylan, but Lisa is too busy investigating to actually listen to what her daughter needs. In my opinion, Lisa Swain is the real problem here, not Dylan. Dylan has a messy past, but he seems genuinely supportive right now. Lisa, though, is letting her ego and her trauma drive her. She is projecting her past failures to protect Betsy onto Dylan. If she can catch him, she can feel like a good cop and a good mom again. The arrest of Dylan is a performance of safety, not a pursuit of justice. It makes Lisa feel in control of a situation that is completely out of her hands. The tension doesn't even stop at the hospital. It spills over into the cafe and the Rovers. The whole community is falling apart. Sean Tully's suspicion of his own son is probably the most painful part. Imagine your own dad wondering if you're a monster because you don't want to visit the hospital. Dylan is so overwhelmed that he is withdrawing, which only makes him look more guilty to everyone else. It is a total shame spiral, but while all this is happening, we have that other massive secret on the cobbles. Sarah Platt is the one who killed Theo Silverton. Why are the writers showing us this now? Think about it. Lisa is arresting an innocent Dylan at the exact same time Sarah is confessing a real murder to Kit Green. It highlights how messy the justice system is in Weatherfield. The perfect proposal from Kit turns into a total nightmare, just like Dylan and Betsy's perfect breakfast did. Both involve a cop and a secret that could ruin everything.